Hey guys, so I thought I'd do an update about Willow and the situation with the HOA. Yeah, the board meeting was last night, and I honestly am really dejected about it, and I had a bad feeling about it, and I almost didn't go. I was just like, this isn't going to accomplish anything. All it's going to do is upset me. And sure enough, they were a bunch of jerks. Very patronizing, condescending. And totally unwilling to work with us. Basically, it's just miles of red tape and bullshit. I covertly recorded some of it, just so I have the dialogue to refer to, but doesn't look good. But one thing that we did bring up is, if my doctor writes a note saying this is a therapy animal, can we, are you guys legally bound to make an exception to the HOA covenant? Let me tell you something. If you're going to buy a house, I strongly advise you not to live in any place with an HOA. Oh my God. I can't even begin to tell you how back-ass words it is, man. Doesn't matter what the state laws are, doesn't matter what the county laws are, doesn't matter what the city laws are. If you live in a neighborhood where there's a homeowners association, and even if the covenant is 20 years old, if you sign a you buy that home, you're agreeing to go by all these little rules forever. No exceptions. Yeah, amusing how they're like, well, it's the law. We're elected to uphold the law. Yeah? Well, it also used to be the law that black people and women couldn't vote. This is the United States of America. It's the law is not an end-all, be-all, and it pisses me off that they make that kind of statement. So then when we pulled up the whole thing with the therapy animal, this one lady goes, I have a hard time believing that a doctor would prescribe a chicken. Okay, fair enough. But any animal in the right situation can be a therapy animal or an emotional support animal. And that was just so fucking rude. Excuse me. And then this guy there. Oh, excuse me. I've been up all night. Yeah, this guy, I don't remember his name, but he was like, well, what's to stop you from coming to us a year from now and saying, well, I need 5 therapy chickens? I was like, I have no problem signing a document saying this is a one-time exception for Willow. And so they let that go, but it was just like, basically they're like, to amend the covenants, it costs between $2,500 and $3,000, and it's a 2-year process because we have to get 67% of all the homeowners and all the mortgage holders, like banks and stuff. And that list isn't known. They'd have to actually research to figure out who all the lenders are. And then, yeah, so. What's up, my you hot, baby? Sorry about the panting in the back of my puggy. my puggy woke up and I think she's hot. Hi, baby, I love you. Yeah, so... Oh, forgive me. So what it came down to was, like, my mom was like, if we bring you a letter from the physician, then what? And the guy was like, well, then we can give it to our lawyers. And it's such a guilt trip. Like, we'll go the expense of talking to the lawyer. It's like, wow, how totally benevolent of you that you'll go the expense. Because mom brought up, too, she was like, you know, my daughter's disabled, and this could be ruled as discrimination. You can't tell. It is not between, it is not their right to say what me and my doctor decide is therapeutically beneficial for me as far as emotional support. That's not their damn place. So, anyway. So, the end of it was, we'll get a letter from my doctor. My mom's going to submit it, and then they'll talk to the lawyers and see, are they... I have to end this video. This is so not fair to you guys. Me yawning all morning. The way they phrased it is, are we legally bound to make an exception if a physician says that Willow's an emotional support animal? And this other prick is like, how many animals do you guys already have? And like, obviously it's not a life and death situation. She's not your only pet. And it was funny too, because like, you could tell like there was a woman on the board who was like totally offended by that comment. She's like, dude, that is none of our business. It's not our place to be judging that. Yeah, it was just a horrible experience. And basically the moral of the story is, if you have money, you can get shit done. If you're poor, there's no justice. I'm sorry, but it's the damn truth. And this is a lesson that's been hammered home to me all my life. When I was in high school, I got a ticket driving. And it was like late at night. It was a back road. And it was very poorly lit. There was like lighting restrictions because of the astronomical observatories. Light pollution was like, it was like a legislation that you couldn't have a lot of light. So this is like a back road. It was almost pitch black, and all of a sudden I just see this single light shining, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Somebody coming on a motorcycle at me in my own lane? What's going on, And when I got closer, I finally saw there was just this cop standing in the road holding a flashlight, pointing it straight at me. And so I screeched on the brakes, and unfortunately, I wasn't going that fast, but my tires were low, so it did squeal and sound all dramatic and whatever. So they waved me to the side of the road, and then as I'm at the side pulling over, then I see them start lighting flares. There had been a car accident, and they were on the scene. But nothing was lit when I was coming down the road. But as soon as I pulled over, then I saw, okay, they are working a car accident scene, whatever. But that cop, oh my god, she was so nasty and mean, and no sympathy, and like, basically gave me a ticket that said like failure to obey a police officer, and I forget what else. It was just power trip, whatever. Here's the thing, okay? That would have been a criminal violation on my driver's license. That would have affected me for the rest of my life, And here's my point. We had to get a lawyer and pay $500 for the lawyer to facilitate at that trial. And ask those cops, because the cops lied. They totally exaggerated. They were like, oh yeah, we were screaming and waving our lights and jumping up and down and yelling, and yeah, give me a fucking break. That is not what happened. And luckily I had a witness in the car. I did have a passenger, and he came to testify as well, and open and shut with the lawyer there. But had I not had, had my father not put up the $500, I would have had a criminal violation of my license. There is no fucking justice unless you have money. And that really, really upsets me. Same as the case here. If we had the money, we could buy an amendment to the bylaws and covenant. And then they're bitching about the coupe and the pen, and it's like, dude, please. Mr. Empath built them. They are stellar. They are not cheap or an eyesore. That's kind of the covenant thing. And it's so funny because there's a board member who had this big old pile of wood in his backyard, and that was considered an eyesore. So he just submitted to the architectural committee and built a fence around it. So my mom's like, okay, well, we'll just build a fence around it like so-and-so did around his wood pile. Nobody acknowledged that statement. Oh, man, dude, I'm so dejected and depressed and just tired. I'm so tired. And I don't mean, so I need a good night's sleep. Yeah, I'm not in the best of places right now, but figured I'd give you guys a Willow update. And I'm gonna try and get some sleep, and hopefully the sync isn't too whacked out on this video. I just wanted to get this out, and I don't have the patience to set up the tripod for my BlackBerry, so much love, everyone. I'll let you guys know what happens. Be well, sweet spirits. Bye.